Hi, so in this video, we're going to be working with reasoning on geometry and algebra, right? For this one, first of all, we're going to go over the properties of equality. So this is very basic, and we have been using, you have been using this properties most of your life, right? For example, the addition property say that if I have A equals B, if I add the same number on both sides, that sum is going to be the same. The same happens with the subtraction, right? If I have A equals B, if I subtract the same number, it's going to be the same, right? The same with multiplication and division, right? My reflective property states that A equals A, so any number is equal to itself, right? The symmetric property states that A equals B, then B equals A. The transitive property states that if A equals B, B equals C, then A equals C. And the substitution property is if A equals B, then B can be replace A in any expression, and it's going to be exactly the same, right? So the congruence, as you can see, is very similar to the last ones that we went over. Reflexive property, AB, segment AB is congruent to segment AB. Angle A is congruent to angle A. Symmetric property, if segment AB is congruent to segment CD, then CD is congruent to AB. If angle A is congruent to B, then angle B is congruent to A. It's the same if angle A is congruent to B and B is congruent to C, then A is congruent to C. Right? Okay, so we're going to be using those information that we just saw to fill this table here and justify and do like a little justification, a little two-column process, right? So I'm going to go over. So I'm giving that the equation is 0.25x plus 2x plus 12 equals 39, right? From this step here, I have those two added up. I'm actually using the addition properties because the addition property says that I'm adding on both sides. So in this part, we are just combining, right, like terms. Okay. Then to go from this step to that one, I'm subtracting 12 on both sides of the equation. So I have the subtracting property equality. Okay. Okay, so here my next step is that I'm multiplying times 10 everything on both sides. So this is multiplication, property of equality. Then my last step, I'm dividing by 225 on both sides. So this is division, property of equality. As you can see, I'm justifying what I did from one step to get to the next step, right? So on this one I have given that angle ABC is 80. I know that ABC is 3x plus 3 and DBC is 6x plus 5. So this first step, I have that ABD plus DBC equals angle ABC. So that means this is angle addition postulate. Okay. My next step, I'm just substituting the information that I have on the exercise on this equation. So this is substitution property of equality. Okay. My next step, I'm combining like terms. So I'm combining 3x with 6x and 3 with 5. So combine like terms. Okay. Then I'm going to subtract 8 on both sides. So this is subtraction property of equality. And my last step, I'm dividing by 9. So this is division of equality. Okay. So the next one, this says that KL, this segment is 3 times the segment down there. So again, I have this formula right there. So my first step, I'm just substituting the information on the equation. So this is substitution. Okay, and this one we uh, all of the justifications are going to be properties of equality. So I'm just going to write the property, right? So the next one, and this one I'm distributing that three, right? As you can see right there. So this is distributed the property. Okay, then I'm subtracting 6x on both sides. This is subtraction. And at the end, I'm just dividing by -1 on both sides. Again, my next one says given that segment xy equals segment yz, right? So again, I'm starting by plugging in this information on that equation. So this is substitution. Okay. Then I'm starting by subtracting 6m on both sides. This is subtraction. Okay. This one is also subtraction, right? Why? Because I'm subtracting 5 on both sides. And in the end, this is division, because I'm dividing 2 on both sides of the equation. The next steps, I want to name the property of equality or congruence that justify going from the first statement to the second. So x, y is congruent to stay z, and then the next one is dc is congruent to x, y. So this is symmetric property of congruence. Congruence in this case, because we have a congruence right there. It's of congruence. If we had an equality, it was of equality, right? The next one, this one is the reflexive property of congruence, right? Why? Because it's telling me that is congruent to A. The next one is telling me angle A is congruent to angle B, B is congruent to C, and A is congruent to C. So this one is the transitive property of congruence. So in this case, I want to justify each statement that I have right here. So it's telling me that QWT is and TWX are complementary angles. As you can see, this is the given, right? This is the given, right? Now, the measurement of angle QWT plus measurement of angle TWX equals 90. I can gather that information by looking at number one. They're telling me that they're complementary angles. I know by its definition that when I add them both together, it's 90. So this is definition of complementary angles. My next step, I'm plugging out in my information that I have right here. So 2x, x plus 6, so this is substitution. Then I'm combine like terms, because I just add 2x plus x. Now I'm subtracting that 6 on both sides, so this is subtraction. And the last one, I'm dividing, division, right? Because I'm dividing by 3 on both sides. That's it, pretty easy. Okay, this one, as you see, is a little bit long, right? We are developing a proof. We are going to work with a two-column proof. As we can see, we have the statement on the left side and the reason on the right side. So we're going to start by defining this information. It's telling me that given E is the midpoint of DF, right? Now, we want to find out that DE is 23, right? So my first step is that I'm plugging in that given, right? So that first one is the most of the time is a given. From there, we're going to see what information we can gather out so we can solve this equation. So if E is a point, the midpoint, that means that this segment is congruent to that segment. And if they are congruent, that means that the measure are the same. So DE equals EF, right? Now, I'm just plugging in the information that I have on the exercise on this equation that I just wrote. So number 3, substitution. Substitution, property of equality, right? Now I'm solving, so I'm starting by subtracting 6x on both sides. So this is subtraction. Property of equality, right? Then it's telling me that the next step is addition property. So what I'm actually doing is that I'm adding 1 on both sides. So right here is 2x, or sorry, 6 equals 2x. Then it's telling me that it's division, so I'm dividing by 2 on both sides. So 3 equals x, right? Now, on this case, I have DE equals CX plus 5. That's given, right? Because they are given it right here. Now, my next step is telling me that it's 6 times 3 plus 5. So I'm just substituting. So substitution property, right? And my last step, I'm just simplify. And that's it, right? As you can see, we're justifying each step. Instead of a justification, we're going to one from there. When I have a given, I'm going to start by that given and then what information I can gather out of that given to solve this exercise. And that's it for this lesson. May the force be with you.